the price tag for the president's ballroom addition to the White House is going up. After initially saying it would be $250 million, the president now says it's going to be about $300 million. And the demolition has already begun. You saw the East Wing just turned to shreds the other day.
Yeah, and sources tell ABC News that it could be completed as early as today. This is ABC News Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce.
A constant stream of dump trucks seen rolling onto the White House grounds to remove debris as backhoes tear down the more than 120-year-old structure. President Trump previously pledged the construction wouldn't touch the existing building.
It won't interfere with the current building. It'll be near it, but not touching it, and pays total respect to the existing building, which I'm the biggest fan of.
But now he says the East Wing had to go.
I mean, he tore apart the building.
It's interesting, and we played that clip of our house because really this is not President Trump's house. This is the people's house. And there's a whole process for dealing with construction and demolition and renovation of official buildings. And I think it's a little suspect that that process has been followed. But there is a little bit more about the East Wing history, and we have more from ABC News Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce, who spoke with ABC podcast Start Here about the history of the East Wing.
The East Wing, if you want a bit of history, was built in 1902. It was then updated in 1942. Traditionally, it's been the home to the First Lady's offices, the Social Secretary's office. A lot of people may be familiar, actually, with the East Wing because it's where visitors usually enter the White House if you come for one of those tours. That is where the public enters into the residence.
Not anymore.
Yeah, not for a while.
Yeah. Going to be a $300 million ballroom. And I'll just say...
Well, and again, just the price went up before they even started demolition, right? From $250 to $300 million.
That seems like an awful lot for a ballroom. I mean, I don't know what the deal is.
Gold-plated.
I'm also reading that if we don't get the government rolling again, that 2 million people, 7 million Americans could lose health care coverage. I'm only saying that because we're spending $300 million on a ballroom.
So President Trump says it's not taxpayer dollars, that he's got individual donors that are going to pony up the cost. But it's part of the conversation on like the optics of this government shutdown, and now we're destroying the East Wing to rebuild this really fancy ballroom, or not rebuild, but to build a really fancy ballroom while we've got food pantries saying, I don't even know if we can absorb the people who are going to need our services.
Interesting. Edward Lengel, the former chief historian at the White House Historical Association, says this kind of addition goes against the ideas of our founding fathers.
The construction of the ballroom takes us toward a presidential palace and a palatial complex for entertainment. It runs counter to their vision of the executive mansion as being the people's house.
So, again, part of that conversation. But people want to know, and they've said, look, this is not the first time that the White House has been added onto. Totally true, right? The original White House was like 8,000 square feet, and then things were added on. There was a major renovation, I think, under President Truman. He had to even move out because things were starting to fall apart. Gerald Ford put in an outdoor swimming pool on the South Lawn. Harry Truman, 48 to 52, full structural reconstruction of the White House because things were starting to get old and kind of falling apart a little bit.
I guess I can understand. I heard President Trump talking about the ballroom and just having a place to entertain foreign dignitaries, guests. You know, that there's a method to it all. I assume it just, the price tag seems exorbitant to me. But I don't build in Washington D.C. or nor do I know what it costs to build there. It's going to be huge too. I mean I don't remember the diameter or the square footage of it, but it's a huge addition. I guess what I don't understand is why they had to tear down the East Wing, especially when he said
we're not going to touch it.
We're not going to tear anything down. We're just going to. This is going to be an addition. There's certainly a lawn there. There's certainly an area where you could build something instead of just tearing down a.
So he said that in July when he announced the ballroom that they weren't going to touch the existing structure. But just yesterday, and this is a Washington Post article, just yesterday he said in order to do it properly, we had to take down the existing structure, and then said that the new ballroom would be connected by a glass bridge to the main White House structure. So they're not, he says, not touching the main part of the White House, but taking down the entire east wing. This ballroom is supposed to be 90,000 square feet, which is actually almost double the footprint of the main section of the White House. That's 55,000 square feet.
You have to wonder also how long it's going to take to do this. It's not going to be built in a year.
I
or
actually
2
have an
years.
answer for that. Actually, they hope to have it ready by January of 2029.
Yeah, well, he won't be president anymore.
Well,
I mean,
we'll see.
That's
won't we?
about what's about. Yeah, that
It's It's right after the 2028 presidential election. So of course there's like, well, is he going to run again? I don't know, right? He's not legally allowed to run again, but it's supposed to be ready before the next presidential inauguration.
Okay, well, and it'd be about the time he exits, if if that would be January of 2029.
Right. So he wouldn't even be able to use it,
except as a going away
I guess.
venue.
Yeah.
Wow,
going
a
away.
lot of money for something that I don't know. It may be beautiful. It may be something that our nation will be proud of in the future. Who knows? But it just seems like, and especially when they had initially budgeted $250 million, which is incredible. Now they're saying, well, it's going to be
300.
more, 300.
Look,
Add another $50 million.
I mentioned this earlier about the process of going through approvals. The White House also said this week that it would, quote, soon send ballroom plans to the National Capital Planning Commission, which is required to review any external construction projects at the White House and will decide whether to approve the new building. Doesn't it seem a little out of order to say we've already destroyed the East Wing, but we will ask for permission coming up?
Better to get forgiveness than permission, because
it kind of seems that way. I have to be honest.
We're sort of late to the game on that. But the demolition has occurred, and when I saw it yesterday, I thought, man, this is going quickly. Is this something? Because I had heard the same thing, that there's a process when you're doing something to clearly one of our national monuments.
Right.
I mean, it's a foundation of our democracy, the White House and the other buildings that you think, well, you can't just tear them down, but apparently that's what we're doing.
Well, and this ballroom of 90,000 square feet, the first estimates is that it would seat about 650 people. Now it's up to 1,000 people, so it's growing. I wonder visually if it's going to be disproportionate, right? Because it's so much bigger than anything else. It's going to look lopsided. So I wonder if that's going to inspire a change to the West Wing. I don't know.
What did you say was the square footage?
90,000 square feet for the ballroom, but the main White House is 55,000.
So it triples the size of the White House.
Well, yeah. Right. Well, there's a West Wing component as well, but I think that's significantly smaller than the main body of the White House. So it's going to be lopsided in how you look at it if you look at it from the air.
Seriously. We talked about this before, but we want to talk about it after the break. Beef prices are climbing fast, and ranchers across the Mountain West warn that the Trump administration's plan to import Argentine beef could backfire, causing more harm than good.